Nuggets are not ready.
So, good evening, Astros fans. We have reached the finale of our Astros Christmas Carol. We break down the ghost of Astros future. Let's go.
What's going on, everyone? Thank y'all for tuning in to the Wednesday night podcast of the Juice Box Heroes. I'm one of your hosts, PK, as always. And new, just Chris, Subi Bones Bryles is with us. Fellas, how are y'all doing?
Doing good, man. I wanted to say a big thanks to you guys holding it down on Sunday. We had an outbreak of strep throat here at the house, so it was pretty much all hands on deck here. And again, we are live Wednesday because yet we have another Christmas thing scheduled for tomorrow. So again, guys, thanks for being flexible. But besides that, ready for the weekend already, even though it's an extra day because it's Wednesday and not Thursday. But Bryles, how's your week going, man?
It's been busy, man. Year-end stuff going on at work, but PK and I did have a good time giving you a hard time about the the Just Chris. So you're going to have to pick somebody and figure it out from here on out, or get a new handle or something like that. But anyway, all right, PK, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. You know, I got 2 more days of work, and then it's off the rest of the year. So, just trying to get everything in order for that. And I will say, Chris, about your handle, I personally like Just Chris. I think you should just stay with it, and that should just be your thing.
I like it.
So let's get into this. So we did this is part 3, right? We did Ghost of Astros Past. That was a really good episode. Make sure y'all go back and listen to it. We did last week was Ghost of Astros Present, where we touched on basically everything going on with the Astros right now. And it actually turned into a really good conversation that me and Bryles had, right? So now we're going to look forward to the future, looking down in Sugarland and Corpus Christi, and maybe with our minor league aficionado Chris, he might pull something out of Fayetteville. So we will see how it goes. So Chris, let's get into this thing, man. Part 3, final part of our Ghost of Astros series. What do you got?
Yeah, man. I mean, so like, kind of, I guess a good segue into what we're going to get into tonight is kind of this offseason is pretty much going to kind of, I guess, set the tone, in my opinion, from how I'm seeing it, as far as how the next handful of off seasons are going to go. We went into this offseason, we knew that we had Abreu off the books, we had Montero off the books, Fromber's contract is off the books. So I think that we were all really pumped for this offseason. And again, it's still only December 17th. That's kind of like what I have to tell myself. It's like, I'm frustrated. I know a lot of Astros fans are frustrated that there really hasn't been a big move. But again, I'd rather it only be December 17th instead of February 17th. But I'm starting to feel like with this kind of, I don't want to call it a swing in the way things are being ran, but it kind of feels like as we shift towards the future, I think we're going to see more of these expiring contracts being allowed to walk. And then we're going to try to make room for these guys that are up and coming. So, I mean, we've pretty much seen that with the Jake Myers talks. I mean, I think Dana Brown's come out and basically said they want to give Zach Cole and Jacob Melton a chance to play every day in center field. But like I said, man, like I know that the sexy names, Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, all these guys. I mean, but the Astros do have a handful of very interesting guys down there in Sugarland, down there in Corpus Christi, down there in Fayetteville. And if you want to get really deep, you can go all the way down to Asheville. So just a handful of guys. I mean, the main thing is that, like, so the big guy, of course, everyone's talking about is Bryce Matthews. He's currently right now the only Astro that's in the top 100 MLB prospects. Basically, from what I've seen, a lot of people are like kind of 50-50. I'm at the point where it's like he's not going to play anytime soon. Trade him if it brings him a piece. A lot of other people are like, don't trade him. This is our future second baseman, future shortstop, whatever. Bryles and I did see him last season, get some reps at third base. But again, so you've got a handful of guys, just off the top of my head, and I'm gonna try not to cheat and look at the top prospects. But you got guys like Bryce Matthews, Zach Cole, Jacob Melton, Ethan Pecco, Miguel Uola. You've got Walker Yonix, a big name. I mean, but he's still a couple of years away. Let me go off the top. Bryce Mayer, that was the kid I was talking about a couple episodes ago. He's another guy to kind of look out for. Then you got like your low guys that are coming up that are probably still about 4 years away. Your guys like Kenny Gomez, Kevin Alvarez, that international kid we just signed. I mean, so like as far as it's not like, if this crop of Astros, and that's kind of like what we're kind of comparing this to. If you look at the Astros team where it was 5 years ago, or let's say 6 years ago, that crop of Astros is completely different than this crop of Astros, minus what I guess Correa, Altuve, and at that time you had Baby Orton. So, but yeah, I mean, like just kind of looking at the future. I feel like the future is bright. I mean, because even though you may not have these guys that are highly ranked MLB prospects, the Astros just seem to find these guys that they develop and they contribute at a major league level. I mean, we literally just lived that last season. So I think future wise, outside of big name players that are going to leave eventually, like I don't want to start being the Scrooge. I mean, but there are some guys on this roster right now that in about 3 years will become free agents, and the Astros probably stand zero shot of re-signing them. So you're going to have to, really start keeping up with these guys that are down in AAA and Corpus, because these are going to be the guys that are going to be the next man up. These are going to be hopefully your next Hunter Brown, hopefully your next Kyle Tucker, hopefully your next Alex Bregman. But I'll go ahead and pass it to Browse because I could talk about minor league baseball the whole night just by myself. So Browse, floor is yours.
Yeah, no worries. And don't worry, you're going to get the floor again. But to kind of add to what you're saying, it's like this is a little bit tough because if we want to look in the near future, our infield is going to be set pretty much for the next 3 years, short of trades. We've got Altuve that's going to finish his career out at second. We're looking at Correa right now that's going to finish his career out probably at third. Pena is going to be arbitration eligible. Correct me if I'm wrong here, for the next 3 years. And then we do have a 2-year contract right now with Walker, which may or may not happen. And then we've got Paredes in the mix too. So the infield in the near future is not really going to be changing up a whole lot. The 2 spots that we are looking at that are going to change a whole lot are probably going to be our outfield and going to be our pitching rotation. So, PK and I broke down the current pitching rotation last episode, and I don't know what it's going to look like moving forward. I think that's going to be the biggest piece that's going to move. And just like Chris was saying, we've got some guys in AAA that are going to be coming up that have got a lot of potential, but at the same time, we also don't know what their trade potential is. So we have no idea if these guys are going to be controllable pieces for another team later on down the road, or if they're going to be controllable pieces for the Astros moving forward. So the idea is that, we're supposed to be competitive moving forward, no matter what, as long as Jim Crane is the owner. I do hesitate when I hear that again now, just because he always said he was going to spend as much money as he could possibly do to make sure that we're going to get in that competitive spot to where we're going to be in the top of not only our division, but competing for a World Series every single year. So we'll see if that happens. But if it doesn't, then some of that future that here, we're talking about tonight could be going away. So we'll see what happens going there. As far as the outfield is concerned, I do like the Zach Cole. I do like the Shea Whitcomb. There's a whole bunch of guys out there that I think that we could utilize in the outfield. They do need a lot of work. I will say that as far as reps and, just growth as far as becoming Major League Baseball players is concerned. But at the same time, the future is actually bright in our outfield if these guys can actually perform and take that next level up from going to AAA to the major leagues. So we'll see what happens there. PK said it earlier. You know, Chris already knows like the AA, AAA systems better than any of the three of us. But at the same time, just from an Astros fan, you know, I've seen a lot of growth, a lot of development. We've seen a lot out of the AAA games. Chris and I got to go to a number of those this year, and I'm excited about that part. You know, it didn't look too bright at the end of last season because it was a big question mark. But at the same time, I think these guys are putting in the numbers. I mean, they're going to, you know, the Arizona Fall League. They're going to the Mexican leagues, the Caribbean leagues, all this stuff in the offseason. And trust me, these guys are working hard. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the outfield can actually produce if we don't make any moves. But I think that's going to be a really strong suit coming up, you know, in our organization over the next, not just this year, but 2, 3, and 4 years moving forward. So PK, what do you see?
Yeah. So, you know, when you were talking about the Mexican League and the Caribbean League, you know, the first thing that came to mind was the role that DeZenzo was on last winter, right? I mean, he was killing the ball, you know, in the winter leagues, and then he only got an injury to derail the season, right? So I completely agree. Like your infield's locked down, regardless if you move Paredes or regardless if you move Walker, your infield's locked, right? So a player like Bryce Matthews, you know, it's an expendable piece, right? I mean, he's expendable because he's, you know, like Chris said, he's our only top, like MLB top 100 prospect, right? So he has a lot of value. He's 24, right? 24. No, he's 22. Sorry, he's 22. So super controllable. You know what I'm saying? So I agree in a sense like that the infield's locked down, and so the way these young guys are gonna, you know, get any playing time is gonna be outfield and in the pitching rotation. We saw it all last year, right? We saw it all last year. Like right before we went on, like I have the top 50 prospects in the Astros organization from last year, and I just started reading names off the top 50, and it was, you know, I mean, it was a really good amount of names that put on an Astros uniform at Daikin for us last year because of the you know, injuries. So, you know, when we signed Kevin Alvarez, you know, I think we had Jimmy from Astros Future on shortly after that, and we talked about the Baby Jordan comparison, the raw power, right? I think he was still at that moment still had some issues getting the visa to come over. I think he was playing in the Dominican League, I believe is what it was at that time. Another guy that I was just reading while you were talking was Luis Baez, 21, AA, right? He finished off in AA. He was in Asheville to start the season, right? And you know, here's just a brief thing on him. So in 407 at bats, he slashed a 263, 300, and 479, 20 home runs and 60 RBIs, right? That's at the Asheville High A affiliate, which is notoriously a hitter-friendly environment. Now, his road splits were less than average, 211 and 371 slug, right? The thing with him is he's got power potential, but he's uber aggressive. Now I know he's 21, so he's got a lot to learn about plate discipline, but we also saw the trend with this team last year with the lack of discipline at the plate and the free swinging, right? So you have the Zach Cole and you have the Jacob Melton that are ready to go essentially kind of like right now, right? Depending on how much playing time they're going to get, how many at-bats they're going to get, because, you know, we can talk about Pedro Leon last year, right? And the brief stint that he came up. You call him up and he doesn't really play. You don't, you know, Kennedy Corona, same thing. You call him up and he plays a game and then he disappears for 3 games on the bench, right? So the outfield in the future seems to have a lot more depth than we do for the infielders, right? And of course, all these things can change and there's movable pieces. You know, touching on the Crane thing about, you know, the spending and like what it's going to take to, you know, acquire talent at a trade deadline, right? What does it typically take every year? Really good prospects.
Yeah.
Really good prospects, right? And we have a farm system that's been in the bottom third, you know, as far as rankings for the last several years. Now we've all seen the players that have come up. We've all seen them contribute. outplay their rankings, right? Which is a testament to the development down in Sugar Land and in Corpus Christi, right? But in order to acquire these players at the deadline to make the run, you have to give up prospects. Now, if you all listen to the show, you all know that I'm fairly conservative when it comes to that. Like, I prefer to have more of the younger, controllable players, instead of renting at the trade deadline. I mean, that was a big discussion back in July when we talked about it. I understand the I understand the process behind it, right? You're making a run, but we saw you say, right? You say with me and Bryles where we didn't like it. We got the trade. He performed, and then we're like, shit, let's bring him back. But then he does so good for you that he commands more money than the Astros are willing to pay, right? So, even though the window is open for Jim Crane, and he said it's always going to be open as long as he's the owner, he also is still smart with his money. We're not going to outbid these West Coast teams and these New York, those Northeast teams. We're just not going to do it. We're going to find those middle of the tier guys, which in turn will cost you a little bit less in prospects. But in reading these names on our list, right, as far as just the Astros organization, so the top 10 in the Astros organization right now: Cam, Jacob Melton, Bryce Matthews, Luis Baez is number 4, Walter Yannick, DeZenzo, Ulola, Blue Ball, Zach Cole, and Whitcomb. 7 of the 10 we saw all play in the majors last year. 7 of the 10. Right. We've got some guys that are in AAA that have the show experience that can continue to stay down in Sugar Land and continue to work on their craft so that when the time's up, when their number's called, they can come back up to the show and be productive and give this team the jump, that they did last year, right? So I'm pretty pumped. If you look at it on paper, it's really exciting. You can get excited about seeing the potential that's down there and what the Astros have, even though their rankings overall from a major league standpoint are not the best.
No, and I agree. And one thing that we didn't really talk about is the fact that this upcoming draft will have 2 first rounders. We'll get an additional 4th rounder when Fromber signs with somebody. Here's the thing: is that what really hurt the Astros and was the fact that those 2 years that they didn't have a first or a second round draft pick. I know at the time other fans were, pissy about it. But looking back at it now, and we had an episode, I think it was a couple seasons ago, maybe it was early last season, where we actually went back and revisited those 2 drafts and we basically looked at the area where they would have drafted from. And you saw guys like Jackson Merrill,
James Wood,
I think
James
Wood was, yeah.
Holiday.
You're talking. You're looking at an area. If they don't lose those draft picks, you could have a James Wood playing for the Astros right now, and the Astros are in the playoffs, still dominant. But what I want to get into is that, so earlier today, I saw something I believe Baseball America put out on X, and it was the Astros projected 2029 lineup. And it's just like,
I saw it
because
I saw that.
I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay. So of course they had Walker Yannick playing catcher, Ethan Frey playing first base. He's the outfielder we just drafted from LSU. Bryce Matthews at second base. You had Xavier Neyens over at third. So I'm guessing Correa's gone. Pena at shortstop, so that's good. Zach Cole in left, Jacob Melton in center, Cam Smith in right, and Altuve DHing. Now, just off the top of your head, what was one name I did not mention?
Well, if you go further down, it shows the ace of the team.
No, I'm talking about Jordan. It's not part of that lineup.
Yeah. Did you say a DH though?
Yeah, that was Altuve.
Altuve. Yeah, you did.
So I'm guessing they are projecting that once this 5-year deal is done with Jordan, he's going to walk. So, it makes sense.
I think that's probably a safe assumption because someone's gonna pay for a power left-handed bat.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well,
he also has injuries, so maybe that'll help us.
That was
So
where
then
I said that
your five starters are Hunter Brown, Arrighetti, Blanco, Anderson, Brito. I think he's down in Double A, and then AJ Blueball with Miguel Uola converted to your closer. So when I look at this lineup of names, like based off of potential, I'm not terribly concerned. I mean, I do think Walker Yannick's going to be up, and I'd like to think he'll be a little bit more consistent
maybe.
than from what we've seen in Yainer Diaz. I really like Xavier Nyans. I'm trying not to butcher his name. That was our first round pick from this season. And then we've got the usual suspects patrolling the outfield: Cole, Milton, and Cam Smith. Now, again, I mean, Bryce Matthews could get traded tomorrow, and then that completely throws this lineup out the window. Hunter Brown could get traded next season because we all know his agent is Scott Boras. I mean, it's pretty safe to say we're not bringing him back.
Right.
So yeah, so I mean, any of these moves, I mean, Arrighetti, but like I don't hate this lineup. Now, again, I mean, Xavier Nyans, this could be his rookie year or his second year. Bryce Matthews could already be, established as the new second baseman. I mean, but it's just a projection. I mean, but like when I look at this, I don't see I don't hold it comparable to how terrible the farm system was when Jeff Luhnow took over. So, and this was, like I said, and this was I mean, if you look back at this 10-year run, I mean, you traded a lot of prospects to get the players that you got that, either contributed to us winning a ring or contributed to us going to the World Series. So, but the thing is that this minor league system, whatever its MLB rank is, other teams are interested in these players because they see that when the Astros call them up. Like you look at the guy like, who was that? Zach Short comes up out of nowhere, plays against the Dodgers, goes like 12 for 12 with like 3 home runs, right? Like we're finding these guys that just continuously like steps up when we need somebody to step up. And again, none of these guys are top 100 prospects. None of these guys are top 50 prospects. None of these guys, no one's going to compare Zach Cole to Roman Anthony. They're not going to compare those guys as far as prospect rankings. I mean, so looking at this, being the Astros fan that I am, I don't think our future is that bleak. I mean, but like I do think that as long as Jim Crane holds himself to the standard that he set, that as long as he's the owner, the window's already open, or the window's always open. I want to see him do a little bit more as far as like backing up that saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's got to go out and sign Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, Framber Valdez, and all this stuff. Otherwise, we will end up being like the 2011 Astros, having to sell everybody to completely rebuild this team. So, for those people that aren't very well versed in the Astros minor league universe, we've got some good talent up and coming. So, like the future isn't all daisies and unicorns, or I'm sorry, the future isn't all doom and gloom. Unfortunately, we are probably on the back end of this run that we've had the last 10 years, but I don't think I don't think we're going to get into that portion to where we're going to go back to 2011 where we lose 100 games 3 years in a row. I don't think that. I just don't. So, what you got, Browse?
A couple of things that I want to point out from what you brought up. One, so the top 3 agents, top 3 free agents, it sounds like right now are former Astros, which is a little unfortunate, but I do understand why that is, because you're right. Scott Boras is the agent on all those. So anyway, but you know what? It's not all doom and gloom. And you did bring up a good point. Like, we have got some really good guys coming up, and it's not because these guys were super high draft picks. These weren't like guys that everybody in the league wanted to go get. These are guys that are minor league system developed. And I said this 3-4 episodes ago. Our AAA system and our AA system has done a phenomenal job of taking these guys that nobody's ever heard of, that were maybe lower round picks, or they were even, a little bit higher picks, and then brought them up, developed them, and then we had to utilize them this last season at the major leagues. And they got them ready for that. Now, they could have been up for a cup of coffee. They could have been up for, a month or two. But at the same time, I think our minor league system and our development has been phenomenal compared to a lot of the systems that you see. We do get a lot of flack about, how, the Astros system is depleted. It's, one of the lowest in, all of the farms and all that kind of stuff. It really isn't, because this is one thing that I definitely believe in. I believe in the coaching staffs that we have, not only at AAA, AA, single A, and, the high A rookie development like systems that we have. These guys have done absolutely phenomenal on bringing these guys and getting the best out of them. Now, whether that is going to show up like actually on the big league team or not, that's to be seen. We could trade them away, which PK brought up. I mean, how many times do we want to see Loperfido in an Astros jersey? I would love to see him in an Astros jersey again at some point, because I think the kid's got a ton of potential.
It's
Shut
over.
Up, Chris.
It's over.
Nope,
Let it go.
Nope.
It's over.
Nope. Stop.
Let it go.
So is
it's over.
So is Biggio. Sorry, bro.
Well, that would never happen.
I've already moved on.
That never happens. I can't.
My point being, though, is they can find a diamond in the rough and actually polish it up, make it look good, and then we can actually use it, whether it's for trade potential or whether it's for our own use. And I've got a lot of respect and a lot of love for our minor league system, what they can do. So it's just to end on that, I will say that our future is bright no matter which way we end up going. And I really hope and do believe that, Crane's vision of we are going to be competitive every single year, no matter what happens, is going to come true. So,
yeah, I think you can look, honestly, again at last season and the amount of guys that were called up from Sugarland and what they did and what they contributed to this team last year for the majority of the season, to know that you can really probably throw some of the rankings out the window and just look at these guys on strictly baseball talent, right? I mean, every guy that came up. I mean, Zach Short's a fantastic example. I didn't know who the hell that guy was, but then he goes to LA and has a phenomenal weekend series and is part of the 18-1 beatdown, against the Dodgers, right? And so, like, the future is definitely bright for this organization. You know what I mean? And so, and we've seen the development down there. We've seen the guys that have been called up that have been have been productive instantly to this club, right? And so, look, as long as they're not making any trades, Dana Brown's not moving these prospects to acquire big talent, again, that's part of the trade deadline thing. You got to give up talent to get the talent, right? So, I think the future is very bright for this organization, regardless. I mean, would it be nice to be a top ranking farm system with all the talent in the world, kind of like San Diego, who can package all kinds of guys, or Boston, who can package all kind of guys? Sure, it would be, right? But at the same time, I like where we're at now on this 10-year freaking run, where we've used homegrown talent, right? Where we've used the homegrown guys that we've developed on our own, and we have, for the most part, a flexible salary, especially now that we have Montero off the books and you've got Abreu off the books. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty excited to see, what these guys are going to do. I'm going to call it year 2, right? The amount of guys that I mentioned that helped the squad this season. So future's bright, man. Like, I'm ready to see these new guys shine. Now, the big problem is, can they get enough at bats to justify them being called up for a long period of time? That's the thing.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I mean, like, I really think that the sum up of the 2025 season was If it wasn't for the Space Cowboys, I don't think they're even touching being a game out of making the playoffs.
Damn straight.
That's what I think. And any time like you want to get frustrated with it, I mean, I think you put the same situation on any other team. Put it on the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees, they're going to fall to like 10, 12 games, out of first place. I mean, you basically kept pace with Seattle. You kept pace with the other wild card teams, with basically 50% of your roster being Sugarland Space Cowboys. So that should make you feel good. That should make you at least be like, okay, well, if need be, Sugarland's always there when we need them.
Absolutely.
Sorry, PK.
And it's a good place to go watch a game. Just letting y'all know. So make sure you make it out there and support your local team. What you got, Bros?
No, I was going to say that, and you brought up a good point. The one thing that was super awesome at the end of the season, how excited were we about Zach Cole, man? That was super fun to watch. Even though we didn't make the playoffs, that was awesome to see him hit his first home run at his first at bat with his family there, being interviewed and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's great to watch all these like young kids come up and like do what they can possibly do. So anyway, that's what
if you think about it. I mean, when was the last time we really had? Obviously not. I can't ever recall this amount of players come up, except for the teams that were losing every game for the whole entire season, essentially. But in this 10-year run, having so many young guys come up for their first hit, first RBI, first whatever it is, right? First strikeout, whatever it is, right? I mean, it is cool to see that, right? Because you see the excitement, when Bryce Matthews went yard in Arizona for his first home run, where I think he ended up going like 4 for 5 in that game, right? The Zach Cole first pitch, first at bat in Atlanta, right? Badass, right? Cam Smith's first home run. I think we were at the game. Were we at the game, Chris, for Cam Smith's home run? First home run?
Yeah. That was against Angels.
Yeah. So like, you're there and you get to watch the first for these guys that you hope are going to be the first of many going forward, right? So I think it's going to take us out. Unless you guys have got anything else, man. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Look, we really appreciate it. We're getting more subscribers by the day, by the week.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank y'all for tuning in and showing us some support, some love. So we'll be back on Sunday. Sunday is going to be our final episode for Christmas. We will not be doing a Christmas episode. We'll hang out with the fam and do all those things.
I'll be on.
You will not. But but we'll be back on Sunday. We'll figure out what we're going to talk about on Sunday. But thanks again for tuning in. This is the Juice Box Heroes. I'm PK. That's just Chris. And that's Browse. We'll see y'all on Sunday.
Hook 'em.
Go Hurricanes, by the way. They play on Saturday morning.